think I'd honestly go an entire year without reviewing a film that has the Messiah himself in it? Yeah, exactly. I pulled through. It took a while this year, but I got it. Alright guys, gals, and everything in between, I'm here today to review for you Honest Thief. So Honest Thief is a thriller type film starring Liam Neeson, the Messiah himself, and Jai Courtney and Jeffrey Donovan. And Liam Neeson's character, he is one of the best bank heisters ever, and he finds love and retires and has a guilty conscience and wants to turn himself in so he can have a clean moral slate with the woman he now loves. This film was one of those ones that when I first heard the premise a little while back, I was like, I don't see how I'm gonna connect with this film, because basically a bank heist guy now feels bad and wants to turn himself in. How is that going to be that character we can root for other than, oh, good job, you want to be good. For instance, if the Zodiac turned himself in because he met some girl he likes, I'd still think he's a piece of shit. Granted, it's not as far, he's not a serial killer, he's not anything like that, so it would be like as if a bank robber turned himself in because of a girl. I would be like, I still don't care, you robbed a bank, go to jail. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this premise, and I have to say, they did a really good job. Liam Neeson plays this character that you can sympathize with, and I sat there and went, oh, you know, he's actually a really all-around solid dude, and they give you such good moral reasons as to kind of his thought process, and you're like, I don't agree with the path you took, but I get it, and Liam Neeson does it amazingly, and he becomes a relatable character, and acts the hell out of this. This is definitely, as you can tell, a lower budgeted film in terms of the Liam Neeson kind of action tough guy vehicles. And so that's where it kind of shines through, is the character development. And Liam Neeson with this girl, I don't actually know the actress's name, but they do a really great job of just making this all-around balanced character story, which still has some really solid thrills. Jai Courtney is Jai Courtney, and he does fine with what he has. I was also really excited to see Jeffrey Donovan in this film. I was like, oh shit, the guy from Burn Notice. I geeked out about that because, you know, I loved him in Burn Notice, and I always thought he was one of those actors that deserved more roles, and this film proves it. He plays an FBI agent who's investigating into Liam Neeson's character, and he's this force of nature that when he's there, you understand the magnificent presence that he is and how important he is to the story, and he's intimidating, but at times you're like, I really feel for this guy, and I'm rooting for him, because obviously you're supposed to root for Liam Neeson because he's, you know, the main character. But Jeffrey Donovan does a great job playing the opposite for Liam Neeson, and I freaking loved that. I really enjoyed this film. Now, it's not without flaws. There's some really sloppy dialogue, particularly in the second act. There's a scene where Liam Neeson's fighting a guy, and they're like, you're that guy who killed my partner. And then Liam Neeson is like, wrong. And it's just like, that felt kind of weird and uncomfortable. It's not the best dialogue. Really, the sloppiest part of this film at times is the dialogue. That being said, it also has the polar opposite, where Neeson is just delivering the hell out of a scene where you feel bad for him. You're like, I really want you to succeed. And then you have even Jai Courtney, where it's like he's talking with his partner, and you believe the dialogue, and his partner is also great because he kind of plays the coin of both sides. This is really a film filled with morally gray characters. You don't just have a good guy and a bad guy. Really, they all, except for Jai Courtney's character, are kind of morally in the gray area. Is it one of, like, Neeson being a badass in his best role? No, it's one of the lower tiered ones, but at the same time, I enjoy all of these Liam Neeson as kind of the epic badass movies, so take that as you will. Now, if you aren't into heistish thrillers, or actually, ultimately, this film is more a cat and mouse game. If you're not into that kind of thing, I'm not going to win you over with this review because it just plays up to what works so well, which is a cat and mouse thriller game. And that's really, it owns up to that. It is a very simple film. I mean, it's really just Liam Neeson wants to do a thing. Bad guy doesn't want him to do that thing. He wants him to get away with doing this thing. They have their chase around, and then one has to outsmart the other. That being said, the action, when it happens, is filmed spectacularly. There's a shootout between two cars, and the way that the cinematographer of this film and the director capture the action are just these nice close-ups, but at the same time, they feel like a wider shot. And I'm gonna throw up a little screenshot here from the film. I really liked this one angle that they had on Liam Neeson where he was just firing through the back of the ice cream truck, and then it cuts to Jai Courtney and he's firing, getting up through the windshield. It's a fantastic and simple action scene, honestly. It's really not complicated, but it's so effective in what it does because of the way it captured the action. And so when the action scenes happen, they're very compelling like that. So it is a very solid movie. I have to say, is it a perfect movie? No, there are some visual effects shots in this film that are not the best. It's particularly a scene with a house. You'll know it when you see it. But all in all, it's just a enjoyable time. I put on the movie today, saw it, and went, yeah, that was awesome. That was fun. I had a good time. So, in terms of that Liam Neeson action vehicle, yet again, he does another one. In my opinion, if you're a fan of that kind of movie, you'll be fine with this one. So I have to say that you don't necessarily need to see this as a big screen film. You could watch it at home on TV and get the exact same experience. It's not like it needs to be seen on a giant movie screen like I would argue maybe something like The Commuter benefited from. So I have to say this is good at a discount viewing. Alright guys, gals, and everything in between, did you see Honest Thief? Did you enjoy it? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell for the notification thingies, is what I'm told to say now. It's what the hip kids are doing. Love you guys.